Now, let's get a check on what's playing out in the commodities market. And top on the agenda is still the Port Harcourt Refinery and other matters in the market. Joining us now is Mr. Bismarck Rouhani, MD CEO, Financial Derivatives Company, joining me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right, so we've seen all marketers, they've set conditions for using the newly renovated Port Harcourt Refinery, demanding that it sells refined petroleum products at prices lower than those of the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. How are you seeing this?
First and foremost, let us get one thing very clear. One is that the total market, the total size of the industry is a figure, but that the Port Harcourt Refinery, the old Port Harcourt Refinery for that matter, is producing only 60,000 barrels. 60,000 barrels is nothing. It's less than 5% of total supply in this market. Dangote's refinery has 685,000 barrels capacity, and this particular refinery has 6,000. So they are price followers. They cannot be price leaders in this industry. Two, they are producing in Port Harcourt, and the product has been lifted to other parts of the country. So
sorry, who's handling the switching of cameras?
So that is what is happening now. So as far as I'm concerned, the price leader and the dominant player is the Dangote Refinery. Dangote Refinery has announced 970, and the Port Harcourt Refinery is actually selling at 1,045, 75 naira above that. So, number one, clearly, the price leader is Dangote Refinery. The price follower is Port Harcourt Refinery. And then the other modular refineries are also going to be following suit. Now Dangote has brought down its price for now as a year-end gesture. And the price of crude globally has actually come down to about $72. So what goes into it is the cost of production, the global price of crude, and generally speaking, it is said, according to the NMPC, that the total demand in Nigeria is about 49 million liters a day. Dangote says that it's about 30 million liters. So there's a 19 million liters difference between what NMPC says is the total demand and what Dangote says is the total demand. No matter what happens, I think that it is clear that there will be no queues, and also the quality. The question of quality is another issue. I think that Dangote they have laboratories to test the quality of what they have, and NNPC also claims that their quality is of the highest standards. But generally speaking, the Nigerian consumer benefits when there's a price war, and the distributors also benefit from this. What we have noticed, though, is that the retailers have not reflected the new price of the Dangote refinery yet. So we are still seeing everybody selling at about 10.50, 10.80, 10.30. We need to see those prices come down below 1,000 naira a liter. And then it begins to play into the transportation logistics cost, and then begins to have an effect on inflation. But right now, at least we are not seeing the price increase. At least we know there are no queues. At least we do know that the quality so far has been good, and we have had no stories about that. So generally speaking, I think it's a good development for the refinery to come on stream. But like they say, the sweetness of the pudding is in eating. Let us see how long they can stay afloat. And what is the extraction value for every 100, for every liter, or every barrel of oil? What do they get out of it? Because if you are getting less efficient output, then it won't take long before those refineries will go into financial difficulty.
All right, so definitely seeing what's playing out, with the refinery so far. Do you think, at some point we'll see some kind of price war, with the refineries, and how do you think this matter would, conclude at some point? And do we expect at least, competitive prices for PMS?
I think that yes, there'll be a price war, but in a price war, the man who has control, the man who has the largest supply, is the one that can come out. And in a price war, if if the government, for that matter, should not be involved in the price war, what you do is to ensure that the prices are not, there's a consumer protection agency which will ensure that the prices you are not gouging customers. And you can see that already, even in different retail outlets. You go to MRS, you see a price here. You go to Mobile, you see a price there. You go to Cornwall, you see another price there. So, but that's efficient. Price competition is good for the consumer, right? And I think that for the first time, for the first Christmas in many years, there will be no queues. There will be no, there will be availability across all parts of the country. And that you can see that the pressure is on the suppliers, the NNPC refinery, the modular refineries, the Dangote refinery, to ensure that the consumers are happy and that they have quality and they have a good price. If not, people can get it from anywhere else. And if people can import, the independent marketers are threatening to import. So bring it down, to bring down the prices. So this enables us to have an efficient industry. But remember that the refining business is high volume, low margin. The margins are very thin, and the financing cost is pretty high. So I think that competition is good, but with cannibalistic competition, where competitors kill themselves, all right, is not good, because in the end, everybody suffers. So I think a fair price is what is required, and that fair price today is roughly at about where the Dangote refinery is saying 970. I won't be surprised to see prices come down a bit lower when the price of oil begins to fall to $70 a barrel.
All right, definitely from what you've said, so far, it seems we might not have that regular Christmas period fuel queues. We know we've had that trend for the longest time, but I'm going to be watching out for this Yuletide season. But before we get into other matters now, we're seeing oil prices. Brent seems to be looking towards sub $70. How are you seeing the market play out?
I think that, generally speaking, because of the truce in Lebanon and the escalation of crisis between Ukraine and Russia, I think that you are going to be seeing prices come down to about $70. But below $70, even the shale producers in America and the fracking producers, we can have difficulty. So it will be good to see it at $65 a barrel, which is where it is. But remember that our budget was based on an assumption of $75 a barrel. Right now, you're having a spot price at least $3 or $4 below our benchmark price. And our benchmark price is the price at which, after higher than that, we begin to accrue to excess crude account and savings. So it actually puts our budget in a very bad light at this time. I suspect that when the budget is presented by the president when he comes back from Paris, we are going to have to reduce that benchmark price to $70. And that means that our revenue targets become slightly, underwater. And it could mean a lot. So while on one hand, the price of petrol will reduce because of that. On the other hand, Nigerians' revenue aspirations and investments in the oil and gas sector will suffer. And that's a tough situation for Nigeria at this point in time, especially when we have all of these ambitious goals to make the economy get to $1 trillion in size by the year 2030.
Yeah, so let's look at the FX market. Now, we know on Tuesday, the Central Bank of Nigeria issued guidelines for interbank trading system, matching system, FMs, setting the minimum tradable amount at about $100,000. So how does this CBN's FM's initiative aim to, enhance transparency and efficiency, in the foreign exchange market?
Yes, Ladi, what I told Nigerians on Tuesday night on the network news, 10 o'clock news, was that the Nigerian Naira has been misaligned from its fair value. There's what we call the fair value, we call it market value, and the official price. And one of the reasons for this is the market structure. So technically speaking, what actually happens is that you have an auction system and then you migrate into an efficient interbank system. What the central bank is doing, I suspect, is that, one, they are selling money to the BDCs at the retail level. They are selling money to the banks through the system, through the normal system. Now they are introducing this matching system where banks can trade amongst themselves using the Bloomberg terminals. So you see exactly what price they are selling, what volume is being sold, and it brings about transparency and price discovery. That way, so you will see that the market, the industry, or the foreign exchange market is now transitioning to become a much more efficient market. Now, the difference between the market price, which is 1,740 now, the official price, which is 1,690, the difference is about 2-3%. And there's no incentive to arbitrage. And now when you have this matching system, and we now begin to see that the prices begin to come close together, airline prices, oil company prices, and all of that, and that it will squeeze out the people that actually come in illicit flows of money into the system. So I think it's welcome. It will not have an impact immediately, but essentially what we believe is that the Naira begins to appreciate very slowly between now, December, January, and February. Then we begin to see some value accretion there. But we shouldn't be too excited that we are going to see the Naira dollar rate at 1,200. No, the federal government in its budget used an assumption of 1,400, and I think that it will take a long time before it gets to. And my target is that it will be at about 1,550 to 1,580 by February next year. All things being equal, touch wood.
All right, all things being equal, we'll keep watching to see how they perform going into 2025. But thank you so much, Mr. Bismarck Rwani, MD, CEO of Financial Derivatives Company. It's great having you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so coming up after the break, we'll dive into the outlook for restaurant inflation in Nigeria. What factors are driving prices higher, and how are businesses adapting? That's our next conversation. Just stay with us.